Fujimi Kaido. It is a quiet, peaceful mountain pass located in the wooded mountains of the Kirikanto region of Japan's Nagano prefecture. It is the place you go if you want to drift in Forza, or at least it was. For the past decade, this track has been missing, and if you're anything like me, you have a 16-kilometer mountain pass shaped hole firmly in your heart. From an instant fan favorite to a distant memory, will this track ever come back to the motorsport franchise, or is it gone forever? What caused the developers to just abandon such a loved track for so many years? Let's talk about the history of this track and if we have any hope for it to come back in the next motorsport game. Kaido was an original Forza track that was released in the first motorsport game and was an instant hit with racers all over the world. The ability to take your favorite car and just toss it down a mountain to see if you had what it took to master drifting down that road full of elevation changes, switchbacks, and complex connecting corners. So many people who drift in Forza can trace back their drifting history to this track. But drifting was not the only thing that people like to do on this track. I, for one, love doing sprints up and down the passes. One of my favorite things to do in Forza Motorsport 4 was to take the baby blue VW bug I made and rip it around the mountain. I'm a huge fan of hill climbs and since we haven't seen anything in the likes of Pikes Peak, Kaido is the next best option. This track had a little something for everybody. The track was not in the second Motorsport game, but it came in the third installment with a whole new remaster and a full circuit layout so you could experience the full pass in a single race, testing your ability and your car in two extreme styles of races at once. By this time, it was very clear that this track was the perfect addition to the game. The fans eagerly awaited to see it in the further installments of the game, so much so that petitions were created before the launch of whatever the next motorsport game was, trying to persuade the developers to include it in the next game. But it never happened. FM5 came out, no Kaido. FM6, FM7. Where was Kaido? Why would developers keep dodging such an easy win like including Kaido? Well, I do have a theory on that, and keep in mind this theory is not based on anything said by the developers or the publishers, it's just something I've come up with on my own. Would you be surprised if I told you that they have made Kaido? 5 times, in fact. It is just not like you remember it. Why include a track for people to drift on when you could just make an entire game for people to drift on? In my opinion, the Horizon games are the Kaido replacement. By the end of FM4, drifting was at an all-time high, with more and more lobbies in FM4 being labeled as drifting, and to no one's surprise, on Kaido, having a game that, while not specifically being all about drifting, encouraged it a great deal. While racing pre-made tracks was fun, it was impossible to find an online session in Horizon that wasn't a group of friends just taking their favorite drift cars and ripping it around the map. It's easy and fun to do, and in the new Horizon games, it just became easier and more encouraged. It's also no surprise we haven't seen Kaido with how the focus of the Motorsport game series is shifting more and more to just straight out racing than any other form of motorsport. While there are drag and drift modes available, they seem to be just an afterthought, like an, oh yeah, we better add this so they don't complain type of thing. But with the release of the new Motorsport game not having those features on day one, it seems like fun tracks like Kaido might just remain distant memories. This worries me about the direction of the Motorsport series. This topic actually came up during one of my live streams, link in the description if you're interested, and it was agreed that racing games seem to be too good for a bit of fun. It has to be all serious all the time. We no longer have fun ways to mess with cars like we used to. If you played FM4 back in its prime, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Not only could you adjust the types of cars in the race, but the amount of traction you had. Or start up fun car games like Soccer, Tag, or Virus. There's a flavor of fun to be had for everyone. You just don't see that in the Motorsport series anymore. I've often been reminded about the fun races we used to do on my streams where I would cut traction down to about 10%, throw everyone on Fujimi Kaido, put them on the downhill with 700 horsepower cars, turn the ghosting off, and just see who could make it down to the bottom. For a bit of fun, I would also turn damage all the way on. Ever since the Horizon series came out, though, those of us who prefer the physics system of the Motorsport series have been told to sit down, shut up, and race like a proper person. If you want silliness, go play Horizon. Real racers only. It is this mindset that has made me doubt if we'll ever see Kaido again. There is, as always, a sliver of hope. Back in June 2022, the community manager Max Braden opened up a voting system to the community to vote on which tracks they wanted to see. Kaido won by a landslide, no pun intended, with over 500 votes. The next closest track was the Nürburgring. Yeah, don't get me started on that one. It had about 125 votes, with the Adelaide International Raceway coming in with 62 to round up third place. The community outcry for the return of Kaido is nothing new. I mentioned petitions for Kaido to be brought back, and I wasn't kidding. Each game has had some form of community outreach to get the devs' attention and help push them to include it in the upcoming game, but none of them worked. And every time we got a response from them on the topic of Kaido, it was always a vague, "We are working on a lot of things and are excited for what comes next," but never a definitive answer about the track itself. With Nordschleife being delayed till spring of 2024 and the missing drag and drift features of the upcoming game, it's hard to stay optimistic about it ever coming back. I'm still interested in the game as a whole, but it seems with every new bit of information we get, it's harder and harder to stay invested in the game. So, what do you think? Do you actually think we have a shot at getting Kaido back? Or is it gone for good? My heart is on the latter, but I have never wanted to be proven wrong more than now. This video started off as kind of a fun remember this track, but it's kind of turned into a downer with the way the Motorsport series is heading, kind of causing more waves than ripples, ripping out some of the features that people love to do, and just trying to make itself into the next iRacing, which could probably be a new video all in its own. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Is this the end of fun in the Motorsport franchise? And do you have to just stay in Horizon if you want silliness? Or could there still be a small bit of hope that fun will return and we can just be a little silly from time to time? Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope you have an excellent day. See you next time.